everybody, welcome back to Best of Publishers, and today we're going to take a look at Stronghold games. Now, over the years, if you watch the Dice Tower, you'll notice that we talk about Stronghold games a lot, because when Stronghold games first came into being, I met Stephen Bonagor, the president and chief bottle washer of Stronghold Games, and we shared a booth at an Origins, and the rest is history, and we like to jab at each other. But he has made many good games. He's also made several games that aren't quite nearly as good, but we're concentrating on the best of the games that he did. But when Stronghold Games first showed up in the market, they were basically just a company. They came in and like, we're going to do reprints. Now, the big reprint was Survive. People had been wanting Survive for the longest of times, and so eventually he got the rights to Survive, and that came back, and he did a couple other reprints. But as time went by, Stephen started working with other companies. He started working with different companies from Europe, with Freedom and Freeze, from 2F Games, with just different companies to bring these games. So a lot of the games from Stronghold are co-publishing deals with other companies. And they've made a lot of games. This was a pretty easy top 10 to do. So let's get started. My number 10 favorite game from Stronghold Games is Going, Gone. This is from Scott Nicholson, who is my predecessor in videoing. He was the first person to do a video show on YouTube, really about board games and his silliness and stuff. I've always appreciated that, and a little bit of my silliness comes from him. He made a silly auction game where you are basically putting little cubes into cups to bid on different things, but you can put them in fast. It's a crazy, extremely quick auction game. Very fun, but can get kind of nonsensical, but I still like it. Going, Gone. Number 9 is Stronghold. Now, this one I believe showed up on my Portal game because this was a co-publishing thing he did with Portal Games to republish Stronghold. It makes sense that Stronghold Games would publish Stronghold, but this two-player game in which one player plays the orc / goblin / bad guy army coming in to fight the humans, and it's a castle and a siege, and it's really well done. There's no other game like it out there. Just a fantastic two-player game. Number 8 is Animals on Board. This is from another partnership that Stronghold has. They have one with Eggert Spiel. And Animals on Board is a very simple game. It was actually one of my picks for the Spiel des Jahres, where you have these animal groups on the board and you are splitting them into groups or eventually taking a group onto your arc. You're competing with Noah, of course, and you want to have groups of 1 animal or 3 or more. 2 animals is bad. Simple, easy, fun, tactical Animals on Board. Number 7 is from Mike Fitzgerald, and that is Diamonds. Yes, most people have played a game called Hearts. Several have played a game called Spades. Well, now we have Diamonds. This is a classic trick-taking game, and I call it classic even though it's only a few years old, but it has that feel as you play cards, trying to win different diamonds. I love trick-taking games, and this is an excellent one. Number 6 just came out last year, and some people consider it to be the best game of last year, and that is the Great Western Trail. Now, Great Western Trail is a big, grandiose Euro game in which you are going to be taking groups of cattle down a trail and selling them, and it's kind of a deck building game, kind of a movement take action game. There's really a lot going on in it, but the theme is strong. There is lots of strategies. There is many differential things that are going to happen from game to game based on the buildings that are in each game. It is a solid, wonderful, deep strategy game, Great Western Trail. Number 5 is one of the first games that Stronghold did. This was another one of their reprints, and that's Confusion, Espionage, and Deception. Now, this game is a game that takes place during the Cold War, and it's kind of like Stratego. Think Stratego, but in this game, all your pieces are facing your opponent. So they know what your pieces are. So you try to take a move with a piece, and they're like, no, that move is technically illegal with that piece. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'll cross these pieces off, and you're trying to figure out what each of your pieces are. You're trying to figure out what they are. It's really clever, fun idea. It's a great two-player game. Number 4 is a deck-building game, Core Worlds. Core Worlds is a game in which players are building a deck slowly over different eras, trying to build this empire in front of them. If you think of Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, that's kind of like what this feels like. It has some neat space things. You're going out and conquering and absorbing other planets in and slowly building up an army. Probably a little too long with 4 or 5 players, but with 2 or 3 players, this game really shines, especially with the expansions. Number 3 is Space Cadets Dice Duels. Now, I love the Engelstein's games, and they have done many games, but the best one that they've done is the sequel to Space Cadets, and that's Space Cadets Dice Duels. This is a fast team versus team where you're rolling dice and you're trying to all work together to make your ship move around and shoot the other person's ship. Unfortunately, in recent years, this game has pretty much been obliterated by Captain Sonar. However, I still really like it. It's different, but they are very similar. But it's different in the teams, and one, you're rolling dice as quickly as you can, and it probably tends to be more on the sillier side of things, but a lot of fun. Space Cadets Dice Duel. Number 2 is Stellar Conflict. This is another partnership that Stronghold has with Artipia Games. Stellar Conflict is a game in which players are throwing cards on a table as fast as they can. There's spaceships, and then you stop, and then you score them. You look and see how they're all shooting each other. This game originally had been done by Chiapas Games, James Ernest, back in the day. But this one added factions, made it just a little bit better. Love this game. I have so much fun playing it. That is Stellar Conflict. And my favorite game from Stronghold Games is one of their most recent ones, and it's certainly one of the hottest games of 2016, and that is Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars is a fantastical, marvelous game in which players are going to Mars and, well, terraforming it, but you are building an engine. You have this whole deck of cards, and you're trying to build different buildings and different, ecologies in these cards, and they all work together. And once I build this card, then I can use it to make this card, and these cards work together better. It's a very straightforward game, and it's such a big hit. I love it. My daughter likes it. My game group loves it. Everyone I know loves it. Just really, really an entertaining game. This game, which Stronghold did in partnership with Fricks Games. So, what will Stronghold have coming out this year? Well, they've already announced several things, including expansions to Terraforming Mars. But there's a lot of great games that they've done over the years. They've kind of gotten away from that reprint thing, although they're still probably going to do some as time goes by. But I'm always anxious to see what they're going to come out with next. Stronghold Games, Best of by the Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.